Good evening, HR professionals all across the globe. One world, one community. Welcome back again to our weekly live wire on Human Capital Management HR Society, that is GHCM, weekly live wire on the latest topic. And today we bring to you one of the most pertinent topic, which is concerning the HR professionals and folks all across the Middle East and Africa region, is human capital driving the business of healthcare sector. Today with us, we have one of the leading HR professionals of Middle East, that is Riyadh in Saudi Arabia. And we have with us Dr. Mohammed AlHijan, the Chief Human Resource Officer of King Saud University Medical City. He is one of the leading HR leaders in healthcare sector. And today he will be discussing with us one of the burning issue in the healthcare sector, which has been historically as unorganized sector, and slowly it is becoming the organized sector. And Dr. Hijan will take us through a lot of burning issues, and he will clarify a lot of doubts in this sector and how we can add human capital leaders can add value in the healthcare sector as a business partners. So before we proceed our discussion, let me invite Dr. Hijan to share with us his thoughts and views. And before he share his thoughts and views, please give us a brief introduction about your profile, your career journey so far. And by the way, he brings approximately 20 years in human capital management in healthcare sector. And he is a chief human resource officer. Obviously, he is adding a huge lot of value in the industry in healthcare sector. Welcome, Dr. Hijan, and to this weekly live wire. And we invite you on behalf of Global Society of HCM, GSHCM. Your brief introduction, please.
Thank you, Mr. Sandy. Thank you very much. Actually, I am less than that. You give me more things about me. I would like to thank you, Sandy, and the Global Society of Human Capital. I am Mohammed AlHijan, 41 years old. I have an experience in HR around 20 years. Master and bachelor degree in human resources. I have many research also. Alhamdulillah, we learn from the companies and hospitals inside Riyadh and outside Riyadh. Our topic, inshallah, today we will speak about the challenge in health sector, particularly in hospitals. But let me to say something before I go in. The challenge in human resource, it's in everywhere, in any industry. Name it, in manufacturing, in agriculture, in all the industry, telecommunication, the human resource will face a big challenge, and the responsibility of the human resource practitioner and professional to analyze that problem and to find a way to solve those problems. I will not disappoint you, but this is fact. Nobody will be happy about HR. But don't take this point as serious and don't be disappointed. You have to work. You have to convince the top management that what is the importance of the human resource and what is the value well human resource will add to any organization. So just take it easy and simple and don't lose the hope and work hard in any organization.
Shukran, Dr. Hijan, and we welcome you to this wonderful discussion today. And we'll be talking approximately for 40 odd minutes on the fantastic lineup of topics. Just to give a brief overview, like now we are working on an era of post-COVID-19, and most of the business are coming back to life slowly. And for sure, the things will become normal going forward from August onward, inshallah. And human capital professionals, they will be facing a lot of issues to revive the business in almost all the sector. Now, in specific to the coming to the human capital professionals in healthcare sector per se. Now, healthcare sector has traditionally been a very, very unorganized sector, and it was a personal department, and it had one international recruitment department and one payroll, and most of the work was a PRO and GRO. But the recent surge in the number of healthcare investment in the Middle East, because since the oil is going down and people are regarding healthcare as the new oil sector, or you can say a new oil industry, because it has a huge potential for growth. And healthcare is growing at the rate of around 35% to 45% on a year-on-year, which is phenomenal, especially in Middle East and Africa region. The recent IPO of Dr. Sulaiman Habib, it proves that the sector has a huge potential. Now, going by the investment part and government welcoming the investors in the economy from all across the globe on one side, and then the human capital function at the very nascent stage. They have emerged from personal department to they have just barely come to the HR function, and now from HR function, they are emerging as a human capital function, and they have way to go to become a happiness function. Now, a lot of these big investment companies, they are bringing a lot of good practices. So obviously, the biggest challenge will be for the traditional, the healthcare industry who are family-run business or the government-run business. They still have not organized themselves into benchmarked HR services, or we call it, from the personnel to the HR and to going to the human capital. Now we are talking about human capital as the business drivers. Now that's a huge sea change, and we did a similar kind of a live wire with Mr. Turki Al-Khuraimi, Chartered MC, CPHR. He was CHRO, HR head, HR director now with Al-Dosari Hospital and is Sureria, I think so, in Dammam region. And we also discussed about all these issues. Now we want to know from your point of view, the first topic, which is, what is the potential growth in the healthcare sector?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
I will speak about the growth of health sector in Saudi Arabia. It's too much growth. And this is one of the challenge we are facing in hospitals, because there is many competitor among us. Of course, the limitation of health practitioner also, it will be one of the factors that will not be easy for us to keep them. So you have to have a good plan, which we will speak inshallah later about this issue, because your employee will not stay. They will be attracted from other competitor if you don't have a solid and a good plan of system that can retain them or find the immediate replacement. So yes, it's one of the challenge which is we face it especially in Riyadh. But by the good plan, inshallah, we will have inshallah a good result. If we speak about the plan, first of all, you have to have the specialty in your organization, starting from the key specialty in your organization, and then the rare specialty, and then the normal specialty. You have to identify it. It is very important to do it. When you identify it, and agree with the top management. That is the very important specialty. And then the next step will be you will find the replacement. The replacement, which we can say it's successor, the replacement will be from inside the hospital, or you can prepare in your database, in your recruitment database, the ready applicant who can take over the responsibility in case of those people will leave the organization. So human resource or human capital, they have a big responsibility about this point, which can keep the performance of the organization without any issue during the financial year. So by preparing the backup will be from inside or outside. If there is no backup, you have to create the program, training program. Maybe after 1 year, he will finish 2 years or 3 years. So you can create that program and bring those people, and those people will be ready to take the mission.
Okay, Dr. Hijan, thank you for your insight. Now, we have got some questions coming up. Since we are a LinkedIn Live, so there'll be a lot of viewers who will be viewing our LinkedIn Live, and they'll be throwing a lot of questions. So, since you are today in the hot seat, so you will have to respond to these questions. Now, the first question is Ms.
I will do my best. I'm learning from them also.
Inshallah. So now, the first question is from Ms. Khulud Baziat, and she says that yes, she believes that the HR function is not fully organized, fully structured in healthcare sector. She's of the view, which I can paraphrase it, that HR professionals, the culture which is the HR needs to drive the business or the organization structure or the kind of a HR expected by the organization from the HR, it is not there in the healthcare sector. There are no good best practices to define. It runs on an auto mode. If the new HR professional leader comes, he changes the whole organization accordingly. The policy procedures takes the form. There are no set standards in the healthcare sector specific from the point of view of HR as a function. So what's your take on this?
She's right. I will not deny that one. But to be an excellent HR, it needs a big support from the top management. The top management sometimes focus on other projects, and they leave the human resource issue in the other side. So she is right, but this will not take anyone in HR to not take the responsibility to keep discussing with the top management the importance of human resource in a service, in a learning and development. This is responsibility will be for the HR leader to discuss with the top management and to convince them it is very important to have this kind of function inside any health organization.
Okay. Now, moving on to our discussion forward, Dr. Hijan, now there are the government sector, that is the public sector, right? Public sector healthcare services. You have a primary care, you have secondary care, and you have few tertiary care hospitals. And then there is the private sector. Now, in private sector, there are some leading brands are there, and whereas then there are not so leading brands, in the industry. And most of the public sector entity. Now, first of all, after classifying this, the government in Saudi Arabia, they're pushing private sector to increase the bed capacity and to overtake the public sector healthcare system. And when doing so, there's going to be a lot of space for a lot of new entities to take the advantage of the vacuum or a place which has been created in the healthcare sector, be it primary care or secondary care, tertiary care, and there's some very, very unique model of healthcare that have come up in last 5 years or so, and a lot of investment is coming in the healthcare sector. Now, given this background, the HR function still remains very, very unorganized. Now, some of the functions in the public sector, they have got some good structure functions, but I am yet to see in the private sector, even I've seen the HR function is put up on a one corner of the building, as if they are, when we need them, we will call them. Whereas in other functions, HR is been treated as one of the most valued functions. And even the CEO, even the chairman, even the shareholders, they regard that human capital function can really drive the business. So what we are talking right now in human capital function, how they can drive the function. That takes us to our next topic of today's discussion. Is called demand and supply gap in specialized healthcare practitioners.
Yeah.
What's your take on that? Look, keep on giving us some interesting stories about your journey and how you're seeing the HR function evolve from a totally unorganized sector to now I'll call it a semi-organized, because the HR function in Saudi Arabia still has miles to go right now. So just keep on giving us a blend and also tell us about this demand supply gap.
Okay. Mr. Sandy, as I told you, the stakeholder or the owners of the hospitals, if they didn't find a strong point of view in human capital or human resource, they will not focus on it. So this responsibility will be for the HR practitioner, instead of doing their job by theories, and they will interrupt it to numbers. When they do it in numbers, the top management will be convinced and they will support it. Why? They will say, I am paying 3 millions or 5 millions for salaries for those HR, but they are doing nothing. Some of them, not all of them, some of them. So if they find the value that you add to your organization, which is the value? What is the value you are going to add it? You will have a policy and procedure. You will have a good service. The employee in health organization or any employee in any organization, he should not come to HR, sorry to say that, to kiss his hand and to serve him. No. The employee, I will tell the truth. The employee must be in his office. He will take all the service while he's sitting there, while he's enjoying and drinking his tea. He should not go to the human resource practitioner, human resource employee, and to ask him or bringing him. No. We have to change our mind. The new employee or the old employee, they must take care of this point. You came here to serve the housekeeping till the CEO. So this is your job. He should not come to your office. You must deliver the service in his place. Okay, this is very important, and this is one value, Mr. Sandy and the audience. If we focus on this value only, on this service, believe me, the satisfaction survey in any organization will be high, regardless of other factors, which is many in human resources. For example, development and promotion and career path, all of this point. If we focus on that, but if we didn't focus it, if we make a more policies, more procedure, more complicated to just let the people follow these instructions, no, the satisfaction will be low, 100%.
And then this brings us to, I agree. This brings us to the point of Christopher Jacob, and he has given the comment that being exposed in the healthcare sector in UAE for last 18 months, HR business partnership is not defined and scoped properly. HR is viewed still as support function. Do you agree?
I agree with this. It's support, but they have more. They have more than that. HR is more than that. HR will give the solution to the top management. HR will not just doing things. HR must create and innovate and bring the new service, new ideas, no matter what's take time. But don't keep silent or just doing the instructions. You have to share your ideas, which will reflect the good image about human resource and the human capital. I will speak about Mr. Sandy, the demand supply gap specialized. Just give me 10 seconds, please. This problem is not in Middle East. This is worldwide problem. There is a limitation.
We're talking about demand supply, right? Demand supply gap.
Huh?
We're talking about demand supply gap, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
We are talking about demand supply gap in specialized healthcare practitioner. This problem, I said, this problem, it is not in Middle East. This is worldwide problem. There is a limitation of health practitioner in the worldwide, and this is a fact. So what should human resource do about this? What should the human capital do about this? The human capital in any organization, especially in hospitals, they must be ready to have training program for 5 years or 3 years or 10 years. They must open the programs like the programs with the Saudi Council. They must have a fellowship or Saudi board can accept Saudis on that program, and that Saudi doctors will take the mission to have the replacement in case if that health practitioner leave the hospital or leave the organization. So how to solve this problem? You have to have a plan for training programs. Training programs is very important in the health organization in order to have the replacement or the successor.
So you mean to say that any person you select must undergo some sort of a training program, right? Or you're talking about specifically for the Saudi nationals?
Specifically for some specialty, and for Saudi, of course. If we didn't find the Saudi, we can take the non-Saudi. It's okay. We will announce that we have this program 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and if we didn't find the Saudi, of course we can. The non-Saudi can join that program, but the priority for Saudi only.
Right. And what about in case there is a gap in the Saudi nationals for the critical areas, right? For example, when you're talking about in healthcare, we have a consultant, we have got the GPs, right? And we've got a resident. Of course, resident and GPs can be taken over by the Saudi national and some of the consultants also. And of course, if they have the Saudi board, they can take on the full consultant roles. But what about the other areas? How do you address the skill gap or a demand supply gap in the talent in the healthcare sector in other areas, like for example, where you can hire a non-Saudis? Do you create a talent bank? Do you create a talent pipeline? Or do you work on a locum basis? You know, what all solutions do you have?
I will give you very simple. The position for, let us to speak about physician, huh?
Yep.
Because the most problem, there is a problem in some specialty in physician side or medical side.
Yes. Yes.
In human capital, all specialty that available in your hospital, all specialties, you must search and prepare and find the names who have this specialty. and you
Right.
must keep this specialty in your database. They are Saudi, non-Saudi, from all the countries. You just put the name, put the data, prepare the data, everything is ready. Once the department need, you will immediately give those name to that department. Of course, before you send, you are going to contact those medical and physician and organize everything with them, and you can send it to the concerned department in order to select from them. So by prepare the database, this is the only solution can help the health organization in terms of gap and limitation of health practitioners.
I think so. We have got a very interesting comment coming up from Abdullah Jabreen, SHRC, and he's the head of HR. And he says, I think the most important thing in healthcare sector is to unite a set of competencies specific to the health sector position. So he's saying that we need to create a set of competency which is required because each sector in healthcare is unique. Maybe in the government sector, there may be, 50, 60, or 70 other hospitals. In each hospital is unique in terms of services offered, the kind of technicalities services offered, or a non-technical, or the way the customer service is handled is unique. So he's saying that you need to create a set of competencies, and each of these healthcare organizations, wherever the HR professional is working, and he should map these competencies with the database which we are talking about, and then create a talent pool for them. And along with him, Peter Engpen, MSc BSc, and he says that yes, he agrees with this, and he says that he gives a reference of UK National Health Services, and he says I totally agree with this statement.
I would like to thank Mr. Abdullah, and this kind of suggestion was discussed before 3 years during the meeting of human capital directors in Riyadh, in the hospitals. So we suggest to have one pool, one database pool that can be used for all hospitals in Riyadh or in the kingdom. But nobody was, to be honest with you, nobody was encouraged to go with this. But I think it's a good and excellent suggestion to have this database, and it will help more and more.
Okay, now having addressed this, so one idea is to create a training and development program locally with the respective HRDF or the nationalization organization institutions, and the second one is to create a pipeline. And the next suggestion is about creating a set of competency and map these people so that you can create a ready pipeline of talent which you can jumpstart whenever there is a skill gap. Okay, now that takes us to our next very important, interesting topic is high attrition rate for critical talent. Now, what do you define critical talent currently in the healthcare sector? My question is it physician, nurses, or the management professional? Of course, it will be a physician, right?
Of course, Sandy, it's a physician, and the second is nursing also. But in nursing will be more. In nursing, we trying to have more qualified Saudi nurse, at least to close the gap 10% or 20%, but we still need some excellent nurse, of course, who has the experience, the high experience from some from countries. But the priority of nursing would be for Saudi. Why it came like that? Because I opened the new hospital, I have to open in certain date after 1 year or 2 years. So I need nurses or physician. What I will do? You get the point? Better, I will go to my competitor and I will make a high salary and I will take them to my hospital. This is what happened. I will tell the truth. Or I will just wait.
Basically, you will poach them, right? It's called a
Yeah,
poaching from other
yeah,
organizations. That's not a very good practice, by the way.
yeah. So they talk those people. You give them 1,500 just an increment because you have a business and you want to run the business. Well, that's why the turnover rate in hospital or health organization will be sometimes high. But what is the role of human resource? This is the main important. What you will gonna do? Okay, if you find high rate in nursing, for example, more than 5%, more than 5%, 5% is acceptable. Okay, you have to have a good plan and action plan. You will just sit with all the nursing group and management. Sit with them, listen to them, what they want, what they need. At least you can achieve what's their expectation. If their expectation is little and you can do it, do it. Don't miss the point. Otherwise, you cannot keep them. They can resign and they will go to your competitor. So better to have a correct and preparedness plan for this moment. If the corrective action to increase your salary, no problem. To give them a good program, for example, in work-life balance, you will give them a social gathering. You will take them for shopping. You will give them one ticket. You will increase the accrued days. Whatever it's take, and you can do it in order to keep and retain your employee, which you teach them, give them all the information, and they are ready for any change. So you have to keep them and correct the problem you mentioned and listen to them.
Okay, now let's give it a scenario. You are in government sector. The government sector, the salaries are much better than the private sector. So when you call the nurse from the private sector, she will definitely say that, yes, of course, I would like to work in the government sector, right? So she cannot refuse the proposal which you will give it to that candidate. What about the same private sector organization? He cannot, or she cannot, the HR function cannot poach from the government sector. So what is the viable solution? What is the alternate solution for the people? Now, poaching is going to happen.
I will tell you.
Earlier there was a lot of restriction was there, but now the transferable economy is, you can change it even in any of the, in Kuwait or in Oman or in Bahrain or in UAE, Emirat, or in any other country, now you can change your ikama and you can seek other employment opportunity. What is the sustainable solution for the organization?
If there is a problem to increase their salary, if there is a problem in private hospital, okay, we will accept that one. What else solution? Are the nurses are happy? What's make them happy? Accommodation, recreation, entertainment. What things that will make them happy? Some food, ticket food, discount. There is many program can make the employee loyal to the organization. You will not lose anything. You just try and do this kind of program. You get my point? If you couldn't increase the salary, you go to the work environment. Invest in work environment. What they need. Are they working too much hours? How can you find the balance? You understand? I'm sure there is many ideas. I know it's not brilliant idea, but at least it will make the people happy. When the employee is happy, he will stay with you. If he is not happy, he will definitely go.
So,
And
if I can,
you have to, sorry, Sandy, you have to accept that you cannot retain all the people. Let the people go, but you should not exceed the percentage that you put it in that area. You understand?
and I agree with you. But one penny of advice which I can suggest is, which is coming up from a lot of people here, is that we need to define what is our critical talent and which is non-critical talent, and which you said very rightly that we can let go which are not critical talent, but we need to hold on to our critical talent, because these are the people who are making our business survive and grow. And if we will let these people go from our hand or from our organization, then it is going to have a huge impact in our organization. So I think so, which you rightly said, that create some kind of a unique um, method to engage this critical talent, come out with your own innovative methods of retaining them, engaging them, and making them more happier in your organization, right?
Maybe those people who did not who ask, they did not maybe join us since the beginning. What I said you have to identify your specialty, the key
Right.
specialty first. Second, the rare specialty.
The rare one. Yep.
Third point, the normal specialty. So you have to focus on the two. Those two who deserve to be returned. The other people, you can bring the replacement from inside or outside within maybe 2 weeks or 1 month. The replacement or the successor will take over. Yes, I agree with you. I agree with them. Thank for them. Yes, we cannot retain all the people. We have to retain and focus on the key people and the rare specialty for the organization.
Fantastic. So let's proceed to the next one, which is very, very important for the business: cost. Wallahi, now this is a killing subject. And most of the time, the CHRO, the head of HR, the HR director, they are really hammered by the CEO, CFO, and the shareholders. And I know the board meetings, the question is why the headcount cost is increasing. Because the moment headcount cost increases, the shareholders' revenue goes down, the profitability goes down. Now, one of the very important question what the Sabir he has asked is about, kindly advise what would be the standard and possible human capital return on investment in healthcare. Now, I think so he is talking about that what investment we made on people. Now we're talking about the HR can talk about only people. Now, so far, now the HR is also going to get accountable and responsible for other investment. So, for example, if your new technology is introduced, so how you can leverage this new technology, or if people are skilled for this new technology to leverage or not, or if you have designed the new strategy to engage the customers, that are the people prepared or skilled to manage the expectations of the customers or not. So there are other facets of the strategy. So now here we are limit our discussion only to the overhead cost, the employee cost. Now, we discussed, before some time back, that wages are increasing significantly. You call it, talent war, which is going to happen, or it's happening undercurrent. I'm poaching from you, you're poaching from me. I'm paying, 1,000 dirham more or 1,500 dirham more, or, I'm trying to make your rare talent, invited to my organization by providing it a short-term, long-term gain. So how do you handle this increasing wage and overhead cost? It's a serious issue now.
Yeah, before I answer, Sandy, I will tell you something. In maybe 2004, the nurse will cost me 2,500. from Far East, 2,500, 3,000, something like that.
I agree. I was a HR director, Dr. Suleiman Habib, that time. And we used to hire nurses at that rate. 2,200 also.
Yeah. And then the salary was increased. 3,200, 3,500, 3,800, and was stable 3,800 and the 3,900. So the salary is increased. Of course, there is other factors, which is inflation in all the economy, which is affect the salary, of course. But of course, this is a very serious issue. I will increase my salary, and other organization will increase his salary. But I will give you a good strategy how to solve this problem. Okay? Sometimes what we will do, or what we did before, now we cannot, because we have Saudi council requirements, so we cannot broke that rule. My message to the private hospitals, they can hire a fresh graduate, whether Saudi or non-Saudi, and they can teach them and train them, okay, at least for 5 years. If you able to retain him for 5 years, that is enough. He can go, and you will bring someone also again, and you will teach him and show him how he will practice the good work. So by this strategy, it will minimum the cost, but maybe it will sacrifice the quality in some times. But it is a good strategy to avoid increasing the salary immediately, which will affect the whole budget in any organization. So yes, there is a problem in wages. All the competitor trying to attract the excellent people. This hospital will increase, the other hospitals will also increase. So all the salaries will be increased, so we will have a problem. But my message also to the HR directors, do not go in this issue unless you need it. Okay? Do not increase the salary anytime. Okay, let the people go, and you can hire other people. At least, and you can have a problem, you can have an overview about the result of this strategy.
Okay, now there are some questions out there which has been put up to you, Dr. AlHijan. So I think so you have been loved a lot.
Wait, Mr. Saud.
Aha, there comes the wonderful little princess. Assalamu alaikum. How are you? Wonderful little princess.
He didn't stay outside. Sorry, guys. Huh?
No problem. Yes. Okay. Some of the comments. I know these are the interesting part of working from home. Okay, now there are some very, very interesting comments coming up in Ihab Abdullah, Chartered FCAPD, FCPHR. And he says, in a region where most HR functions are regulated by government, what all are the measures that should be taken for HR, healthcare into and the next by adding value and improve the employee experience. Then Mohammed AlHijan, he says about workforce planning should be more focused. Khulud Baziar again, she says that it is too difficult to let them work even for the clinical assistant. SCFHS not released yet the criteria for full apply of these positions. Private sector is not attractive sector for the medical and pharmaceutical. Your advice, please. Then Rajesh says healthcare sector competencies start defining outcomes, lead indicators as priority. This should help narrow down talent assimilations and adopt training mandates. Should drive on-the-go training. Manoj Omar says, what is the key cultural factor that is required to retain the critical talent in healthcare sector? Christopher another again says, both physicians and nurses or revenue generation functions should be prioritized by creating a talent pool, even if there is no existing requirements. And then Anuj says, well said, we need to define who is our critical talent. And Rajesh again says, balanced approach to rewarding mental and physical agility is important for these role holders. Just money may not fix everything. Very nicely summed up by Rajesh. That money is not everything. But now we are talking about money, overhead cost. So he's talking about the talent, about money is not everything. Maybe what he's trying to say is HR needs to create a value proposition and to convey that what all benefits that the employee in that particular organization they're enjoying, and continuously reinforcing these. Sometimes what happens is I'm getting everything in one organization and I tend to forget. And for me, it's 5%, 10% increase in increment. I see it. Wow, this is amazing increment for me. Let me go and take up that role. When I land up there, I realize that my aspirations, my work environment, which I'm used to it in my last organization, is not in congruence, is not what I expected. So I think so. Over and over period of time, the HR functions, or now we call it a human capital functions, as the business driver functions of the organization, must continue to reinforce the HR value addition, or what all the organization they are doing for them. What kind of benefits, be the benefits of what kind of work culture, what kind of a work environment. You talk about the training, you talked about critical talent, and you talked about the career progression. You talked about the opportunities, you talked about the growth part, right? These are things HR or human capital function must consistently must share and do by either by storytelling or by putting the posters, by doing open house sessions, one-on-one talk, okay, by the videos, to engage your critical talent and non-critical talent altogether. Now we are talking about a very, very pertinent topic, the overhead cost. Now you talked about creating a talent pipeline for the nurses. That nurses cost is huge, the less. Now it has become huge. One of the most significant part is the nurses cost. And you explained that if you can create this talent pipeline, it can be our short-term measure to solve it. What about the cost of physicians? Because that's also a huge cost in the healthcare sector. So how do we manage this? And it is extremely difficult in healthcare sector. To every 2 years or 4 years, people, they come for the 2 years contract, and specifically in Saudi Arabia and almost all the Middle East, we have seen a 2 years contract or a maximum 3 years contract is a prevalent practice. Now, after every 3 years, you sit down with your physician and your critical talent, and you start again renegotiating. He says, no, I want to leave. He said, I got a good opportunity in another hospital. Then you again start negotiating. Now, what do we do? Because you cannot keep on increasing your overhead cost over and over years again. So what strategy do you use, Dr. Hijan? Tell us the secret.
First of all, we have to accept that we are in marketing. So the market will push you to pay that amount. 50,000, 70,000, 100,000, whatsoever. But you have to have a clever when you sign a contract with any physician. One of his duties, he must teach the resident or the registrar with him to transfer the knowledge to them. In case if he leave after 1 year or 2 years, it's up to the contract. So if you can add this kind of point to his contract, you will have a two benefit. Of course, he will give you a good service for the patient, and he will transfer the knowledge to his helper or to his assistant consultant or to the registrar who's working with him. So this is very important. But sometimes you have to attract the excellent doctor in order to provide an excellent health care, which is the first priority from your strategy to provide an excellent health care.
Now, if that be so, what about the management part? The management professionals in the healthcare, some of the functions are also very, very critical. Now they also come and sit down again, saying that Dr. Hijan, I finished my contract. Well, now 6 months before he will start creating a scene that yes, see, I've got a very nice opportunity. I'm going to move out now, and so the person is going to give you indication that yes, we need to renegotiate the contract, right?
Of course,
this is going to put another cost burden. So how far can you go on negotiating the contract and keep increasing the cost? Sometimes you have to say no. You need to bring the fresh blood, and we need to, let go, because you can increase your threshold of cost of in physicians or in management critical staff to a certain extent. But
Mr.
after
Sandy,
that, you need to let go.
Mr. Sandy, it depends of the revenue. If his revenue, right, whether in private hospital his revenue is high, we can negotiate and we can increase his salary. Of course, revenue with the excellent diagnosis and excellent service. This is point number one. If his revenue in government hospital is high, teaching, learning, seeing many patients, developed the unit, developed the procedure, have new way of doing the operation. For example, through micro, I think there is a new operation. They can do it through the small machines, any new ways, so we can increase his salary. But if we find out that his value is less than, Assalamu alaikum, thank you very much, and this is your service, and good luck. So it depends.
Yeah, some hard talk needs to be done.
Yes, right? Even
and some hard decisions need to be done.
Yeah, sorry to say that, even if he is a high name and high special guy in his specialty, but if his revenue is lowest than the expectation from the top management, we can let him go.
Okay, now that's very interesting comment we have received from Rajesh, and he says that overheads now should be now a less worry considering the current pandemic. Okay, however, build a strong ROI to reduce fixed costs and maximize variable measures based on number of lives saved, cycle time reduction in diagnostic, touch time reduction in nursing care, patients, and happiness index. Apply this across all roles. Now he's saying that now in this COVID-19 situation and post COVID-19, so overhead cost is of a less significance. Maybe for a next 2 quarters or 3 quarters or 4 quarters till the normal becomes a normal till such time. So, do you agree with this that overhead cost should not be a worry to the management, and rather than this, the strategy now should be based on return on investment, on how we can reduce the fixed cost, how we can maximize the variables, number of lives saved, cycle time, reduction in diagnostics touch time, reduction in nursing patient care. Because yes, we can, I think, so do a lot of these are very good, great ideas, but you have already done a lot of investment in terms of fixed cost in healthcare that you cannot let go. Your machines, your equipments, your tools, your rentals, right? These are already, you have done investment. Now you cannot suddenly, you can let go saying that now for next 3 or 4 cycle, let's forget about it. So the equipment will keep on depreciating, right? Your investment on the equipment, machinery, and equipment and tools will continue accruing interest. Banking is not going to say, we will let go for 1 year, the COVID has come. They will say, okay, we will not charge you or they will give you a moratorium for a certain period of time, but we will continue our drawing out our installments of the payments and all, maybe after 6 months or 8 months or 1 year time, but we will not leave the interest part. So I think so the fixed cost part of it is not very, very pertinent, but yes, other areas which you said very, very significant is number of lives saved, then touch time reduction in a nursing care, patient index. I think so these are the new indexes or the KPIs that the HR can start looking into. Do you agree with it?
During Corona pandemic, Sandy, the situation is totally different. Hospitals are renting a building which now they didn't use it. So Corona pandemic was giving us how to deal with the real situation, how to cost code. Of course, some of the employee was affected, but this is the sequences of any problem or any pandemic will come. What should the organization do? They must, and the HR together, they must focus on digital transformation. They must make their work is automation. They must increase the culture for those people to work from, for example, from office, from home, they must have the solution, because world is different now. Companies was damaged because of this Corona pandemic. So the organizations who was ready for pandemic, for example, if they have a good ERP system and their services automated, they did not suffer from Corona pandemic. But for those organizations who still using the paperwork and working from offices, believe me, they were affected, and maybe they are out of market now.
Right.
Because
so
they did not adapt the digital transformation or to automate their service.
So now you have touched upon the very pertinent, our last topic of today's session is on ERP system in healthcare and a lot of other, automations, work from home, remote working, monitoring them on the work and giving them online training, everything, because most of the organizations are transforming them from their conventional to the digital platform. So what's your take on the ERP system? How important it is now?
In order to be an excellent HR and human capital, you must have a system, any system, ARB system, or what is the suitable system that you are going to take. ARB system must be there from the beginning of the foundation of any organization. I know the top management will say it's very expensive. How I will pay 10 million or 12 million or 5 million for this system? But they will realize later on the importance of this system. This system will make the life easy for the employee. He will make him satisfied. He will be happy. He can work from office. He can track his request. Any request he will send, he can track. The system also will enhance a very important point, which is transparency. Transparency is very important. People who is applying from outside, who want to apply for job, he can track his job. He can see his job. How many applicants apply with him? Okay, is he suitable for the job or not? Which step he will go? What time of interview? Is he good the job or not? So ERP system and digital transformation is very important in our organization. And I advise for all HR leader or HR professional or HR junior, you have to find a solution of your job. Don't say I cannot. You can. Sorry to say that. If you don't have any system, you can use the Excel. Excel is very important. It will make your work is easy. But do not use the paper in all the time. If you didn't find, you can select a system. You can go with the CEO, with the top management. You can convince him. You can give him what is the value of that system and what is the result. So ERP system is very important, not only in HR, of course, in finance department and the supply chain. So don't leave the work for paper or for document and paper, and people will ask, where is my paper? Where is it? It's for that employee, for this employee. So you will make the image of human capital is not good. I will tell you the truth. So you have to invest in ERP system.
Shukran, Dr. Hijan. I think so. With this, we come to the end of our time, and thank you for adding significant value to today's live wire. And we thank all the people who have continuously poured their comment, and we have continuously tried to respond, and we have tried to explain to and give their thoughts to Dr. Mohammed AlHijan, the CHRO of one of the leading healthcare company of Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, inside the University Medical City. And we thank Dr. Hijan again and for coming up in our weekly live wire of Global Society of Human Capital Management. And we request Dr. Hijan to say a last parting words.
Yeah, thank you, Sandy. Thank you very much for your invitation. I am very happy to share my experience for those people. Of course, there is more people they have experience than me, but with sharing the information between me and them, we will inshallah reach to an excellent goals, inshallah, that we can increase the awarenesses and the best practice of human capital in health sector or all organizations. Thank you very much, and thank for their time, and shukran jazilan, Sandy.
Shukran, Dr. Hijan. And we'll see you again, all viewers and HR professionals all across the globe. One world, one community, human capital society for HCM. GSHCM is going to bring you another live word next week. So see you till then. Have a great day, great evening. Good night. Masalama. Yatik Lafia.